Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this meetup. So it's going to be in English today, as you noticed. Super happy to be here. This is the 49th edition already of the Meetup Paris Data IDs. So we are super proud of that. I need the slides of the meetup, sorry. Yeah, okay, yeah. Thanks. So just a super short word about who we are. So the Meetup Paris Data IDs has been existing since, I think, 10 years now, probably. We are about 10 co-hosts. So some of them are going to be here tonight. If you want to talk to them, help us in the organization. It's always nice to have new people to help. Oh no, it's 7 years of existence, actually. Okay, I didn't know that. We have a large number of members. You can join and follow the meetup on the website meetup.com. We've had a lot of sponsors so far. We are super happy to be received at nice companies every time. Don't hesitate to contact us as well if you think your company would like to host the meetup. That would be cool as well. And tonight, a big thanks to the Doctolib team, and especially to Clémentine, who has been doing a big job on the organization. Thank you so much for that. And that's it for me. I will leave the scene to our first talk tonight, which is the Doctolib's team. Welcome on stage.
Thank you. I will be really short, so I'm not the one of the speaker today. So hi everyone, welcome to Doctolib. My name is Yuan. If you can change the slide. Next one. My name is Yuan. If you wonder how to pronounce my name, if you ever been to China or heard about it, the currency we're using over there is the exact same as my name. So that's how to pronounce my name. And I joined Doctolib around 3 months ago. And before joining Doctolib, I used to work at Criteo and Datadog. And right now I'm joining Doctolib to scaling our AI teams. So next slide, please. So among, if you check on our career website, you will see more than 100 new openings. So according to adapt the audience today, so we really focus on data and AI positions, so at least just 3 of them, but we have numerous openings for engineering, for product, for design. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. Me, my colleagues Sabrina and Maxime will be stay at the end of the event for social networking in case you wanted to know anything about our interview process, our amazing engineering team, just to feel free to reach out. So enjoy tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us in spite of the rain. And thanks to all those who helped us to organize this meetup. We're super happy to have you with us tonight. And so for this first talk with Doctolib, we'll discuss the notion of, more broader, how can data teams serve a bold AI vision? For this, the speakers will be Anouk Barnoud, Senior Data Scientist, Lucille Fargeau, Senior Analytics Engineer, and myself, Diana Carrondo, Data Governance Lead. I'd like to begin with a short story. I've been teaching data and information systems for 6 years at Paris Dauphine University. And earlier this month, we had this back-to-school meeting with the other teachers. And during this meeting, we discussed the fact that now 100% of our students, they all use ChatGPT a lot. So this is a challenge, especially for teachers as regards homework. But actually, it is also new opportunities. It opens new doors, not only in education, but also in healthcare. where Doctolib operates. And by the way, who are we? Doctolib, it's 2,900 Doctolibers building the healthcare we all dream of. We are serving a network of 900,000 professional users and 90 million patients. We are doing this in Europe, for now in 4 countries, France, but also Germany, Italy, and Netherlands. And considering the growing need for healthcare and at the same time the lack of healthcare professionals, we have 2 missions as Doctolibers. Number 1, we improve the daily life of healthcare professionals. And second mission, we help people, you and me, to be healthier. And so far, it was working quite well because we were recently elected the most useful brand in France. And that's a victory. So how are we doing it? We do it thanks to our user-friendly solutions, our products. As patients, I think that most of you already experienced the searching and booking features on Doctolib, and maybe also the telehealth product, notably during the COVID crisis. It was quite useful. But Doctolib is way more than that. As part of Doctolib patients, actually, there are many features for healthcare professionals. It's a kind of patient relationship management tool. It enables healthcare professionals to connect with their patients. How? Thanks to features like patient messaging, prevention campaigns, and the famous agenda, for instance. And there are 2 other products that are fully dedicated to healthcare professionals. The number 1 is Doctolib Practice. It is an all-in-one secure solution offering clinical and financial features, for instance, a consultation feature, billing and reimbursement, etc. And there is also Doctolib Silo. Doctolib Silo, it is a solution which offers network features so that healthcare professionals can provide the best care possible as one team. And so, for instance, there will be network features like patient referral or tele-expertise. So now, what is our bold AI vision? Doctolib intends to become the European reference in artificial intelligence in healthcare. Why? Because after 10 years of striving for a healthier world, we still believe that technology and innovation will make us even more better to offer more time and care to healthcare professionals. And as part of all these technologies, there is artificial intelligence. So far, AI was mainly restricted to support diagnostic tools, for instance, in imaging. And now, as you know, there were some recent advancements that opens, again, new doors. Among them, there are progress in natural language processing. And also, I mentioned it in the beginning of this talk, the fact that now everyone uses AI in their daily life. So there is AI democratization. And at the same time, we know that healthcare is based a lot on oral communication. So there is a connection with the progress in NLP. And there is also something to consider, that is that most data is not structured. As a doctor, when you write summarize about your patients, it is not structured data. And this AI advancements, it is also an opportunity for us to iterate on our products, because AI is not an end in itself. It is a means to an end. And for us, it is a means to not only iterate on our products so that we can release new increments, but also release new products that so far we could not even imagine because we did not have the technological tools. For instance, a prevention assistant or a patient assistant. And in the end, thanks to all these iterations based on technology and innovation, we are even better able to offer more time and care to healthcare professionals, and so to serve our 2 missions. But necessarily, such a bold AI vision goes with data. because AI is a lot about data. And so you need a data vision and a data organization. And at Doctolib, this data vision and organization is based on 3 pillars. Number 1, top priority, always and forever, preserving strict confidentiality. It means that we must always protect our users' privacy. Always. Second pillar, we want to master our data value chain end to end, from data producers to all data consumers, including collection, transformation steps. And this is quite a long journey. And last pillar, we want to offer data self-service to all Doctolibers. You may have heard the quote, data is the new water, and that's true. As an organization, you need this water to be healthy, to take the right decisions at the right moment. So you need to have the right data to support your decision so that they are not based on instinct. But of course, such pillars, as part of our data vision, are already a challenge to achieve, and even more to maintain in a constantly evolving environment from a legal standpoint and from a technological standpoint. So it is a transversal challenge, and with transversality comes complexity. How to deal with transversality and complexity? Reinforce your data governance team in the first place. So this is what we recently did at Doctolib, growing the team to 3 people. And actually, data governance, what is it? It is a transversal support that we provide on the whole data value chain, from producers to consumers, so that they can leverage our data as an asset, because yes, it is an asset, with privacy and confidence. Privacy, protecting our users' privacy, for sure, and confidence, mastering our data value chain always, in spite of its evolution, and also offering the right data at the right moment. Reinforcing our data governance team, not only we were able to still have a defensive approach, so preserve strict confidentiality, but also we could unlock an offensive approach, being actively contributing to leveraging data as an asset, supporting all those who consume data internally. Again, to fill the 2 missions we have for healthcare professionals and patients. But of course, since it is a huge scope, it is a never-ending battle. And more than ever, you need to prioritize. So what are our current priorities? On the defensive approach, privacy part, we are currently iterating on our data taxonomy. What is the data taxonomy? The data taxonomy is the fact of categorizing your data, knowing if it is personal data, health data, both, so it is super sensitive, or on the contrary, is it not sensitive or else? So the fact of always knowing that which category applies to your data is super helpful, because depending on the category of your data, the sensitivity, you apply the right level of protection. You are able to maximize the value from this data under always compliant with the regulation. Super key. On the offensive approach, bringing more confidence to Doctolibers to leverage our data, we are currently reinforcing our data catalog. What is a data catalog? It's a kind of corporate Pokédex. It's your best friend. You can browse tables and columns. You can find the metadata related to them. And from a more literal standpoint, you can find glossaries, for instance, around your product, around sales, and you can find definitions around key core concepts. But this is a tool. And finally, serving a bold AI vision is not only about tools. It's a matter of organization. In order for you to scale your data governance, you need to build a community. So our third focus right now is to build a data governance community. Why? So that you reach a federated approach of data governance and no longer a centralized team, because one centralized team cannot deal with all the data of the company. We need stakeholders in all domains. And this is super helpful, not only to spread the guidelines to have a defensive approach always, but also to spread a data mesh state of mind, what is more offensive. And by the way, Lucille has something to tell you about the data mesh spirit.
Thank you, Diana. Before focusing on data mesh, maybe let's go back in time. Well, historically, Doctolib had a centralized data management approach. Basically, data was an afterthought of the Doctolib product. This led to several limitations. This led to several limitations. The first one is that data teams were often out of the loop. We weren't aware of some data change that broke some ingestions that led to broken analytics tool, inaccurate dashboards. We all know about it, I guess. Another issue we encountered is that we had a centralized data team for data collection that became bottleneck, that caused delays in data delivery and also affected data quality. Third limitation is that we had a lack of clear data ownership that also affected the quality. Those are issues that impacted analytics engineer, but what is analytics engineer? Well, the analytics engineering team is at the intersection of all data teams. We use the platform established by the platform team. We build the data products that are envisioned by the product management team. We follow the rules that are set by the data governance teams. Hello, Diana. And finally, those data products will be used by the users of the Doctolib and also by the algorithm of the data science team, hello, Anouk, to empower AI. So you now know our limitations, you know our role. So let's see a solution for a bold AI vision. To accelerate our data strategy, we need more data and more engineering. The response to that is the data mesh architecture. There are 4 core principles to it. The first one is data as a product. Data has the same importance as a commercial product. It has the same importance as a Doctolib product you were just shown. We focus on data quality, usability, lifecycle management to maximize value for the users. Second core principle is a domain-driven data ownership, which is that basically ownership remains with the knowledgeable teams. Our functional vision is that now data is part of the future teams delivering the data. We won't do any change in our management organization, but functionally that's the idea. Data is not decentralized anymore. We are not an afterthought of the product. We open the data platform to non-data teams by giving them ownership and autonomy. Third core principle is self-service data infrastructure. While data access is monitored and controlled, the infrastructure is designed so that users can use the data by themselves using the data catalog that Diana just presented, which leads us to our last core principle, federated computational governance. Governance within data mesh ensures standardization and compliance. You now have the whole vision of data mesh. So let's not focus on the cross-domain self-service data products. What changed in the data flow? Data producers are now pushing their data and they remain owner of it. The data products are the main objective for the end users. They are a compilation of key concept tables. Let's take an example of accounts. Well, account data is taken from multiple sources. We have a source from the Doctolib product. We also want from our marketing tool, Salesforce, for example. While we'll still have our source data products that are aligned with the source. So for example, the data products for the Doctolib products, the data product for the Salesforce product, we will now cross them to create a cross-domain data product. For example, here, the 360 account. Accounts are a key concept. Now that we have built our cross-domain data products, how do we provide self-service? Well, for that, we will use the medallion architecture. The medallion architecture enables self-service for various user needs and skill levels. It is based on 3 different layers, the bronze, silver, and gold one. The bronze layer is a golden, sorry, the bronze layer is a landing zone. It's basically raw data. We don't process it, we don't transform it. We take the data from Doctolib, Jura, Salesforce, whatever it is, and just put it as is. The second layer is a silver layer. We are structuring data, transforming data. We are just making it cleaned, filtered, and transformed into a more usable data model. Those first two layers establish a solid foundation that ensures accuracy and consistency for the next one. The last layer is a gold layer. This one is fully dedicated to the self-service. It's where we have our cross-data domains. It's where data is refined to meet specific data analytics and business requirements. We can have denormalized or just read-optimized models to simplify, joins and reduce cost computations. And finally, we can also have data aggregated at different levels. So it could be daily, yearly, weekly, quarterly, whatever. How does it work for the users? Depending on their skills and needs, the users can independently choose from which layer they are going to use some data assets. For example, using Tableau, they could create a dashboard. Using that Metabase, they can just do some data exploration on clean data models. So I guess you must now be wondering, where is AI in all this? It's not in the slide. Actually, it is. Data products are also used and enriched in the data science models. And I will now give the mic to Anouk, who will talk to us about it.
Thank you, Lucille. So, thanks. With these two first parts, we have already seen a lot of key elements to best serve our AI strategy. But now it's time to deliver at the end of the data value chain by actually creating the AI products. So that's exactly where data science comes in. And our goal for the future is really to be able to integrate AI into most of our products in order to make them even more efficient and better for our users. So let's start by a concrete example of a project that we implemented, the consultant assistant. Thanks. I want you to imagine you as a patient going to the doctor. And I want you to imagine the scene. He's completely forgetting about the computer. He's not taking notes. He's really listening to you, asking the right questions. As a patient, you really feel heard and understood. And as a doctor, it really reduces the mental load that you have because you don't have to care about the notes. Everything will be taken care of for you. That's exactly what our consultant assistant is actually doing. So the goal is to listen to the conversation and get a transcript of all the relevant elements, and then to have a coded and structured summary for the doctor. Then he only has to actually review, maybe validate if everything is fine, or change a bit if there is something wrong, and then he can share it with the patient. This kind of project is really how we intend to become the European leader in AI for healthcare. It's actually going to be live very soon, so stay tuned. And we got really incredible first feedback from the beta testers. So it's really an amazing news. But how did we manage to implement such a project and other innovative AI projects? Well, the first element I want to talk to you about is actually developing an ecosystem. The goal is actually to create kind of a dynamic network of very different stakeholders and partners in order to share similar technical issues, to learn from each other and try to grow together. So the first element of AI is that it's really evolving very, very fast. And as such, we really decided to be close to research. So we decided this year to attend several machine learning conferences, such as KDD and ICML. But we are also connected to several researcher partners with whom we are trying to have several workshops on specific topics. Another element is that sometimes we want to be really expert on a specific subject, for instance, on voice or speech to text, and it's really difficult to become and to acquire this kind of expertise very fast. So we also decided to use external growth, and this year we acquired two specialized startups, Aaron and Tapeless. The other element is that we also need to be close to operational and business problematics. And it's also why we decided to create partnerships with other companies in order to do workshops and to really try to exchange on our challenges and how we overcame them. So that's really, those key elements are really interesting, but they're more external to Doctolib. Something that is even more essential for us is actually changing our internal organization. And I think that the first element for us was to change the way we see AI, and we needed to change our commitment. First, it was just doing some POCs and going a bit into production, but this year we really decided to be committed to innovation and to AI. What does it really mean? Well, first of all, it was a very strong financial investment in terms of like everything that a team needs, so hardware, but also the size of the team, continuing to work if we need more time. And then also it was a strong human investment by getting some help from experts if we need, by hiring talented people. It's really putting the means in order to get there, but it also means that we need to take some risks. Another important element is that AI is really different from software engineering. It's more of an R&D approach. So we really need to explore. Sometimes we need to test, and sometimes it fails, sometimes it works. And we need to accept that. And we also need to iterate very fast. In order to do that, we really need to put everything in place so that we get really quickly some feedback from the user. To do that, we need to be able to ship into production very quickly. And that's my second point. To do that, we really need to change the way we work into a project in order to have all of the competencies into one team. So the designers, because the AI adoption is really key, and we need a good UI and a good UX, but we also need the developers and the data scientists into the same room. Another key element is that in order to see all the opportunities that we can have with AI, we need people to understand what AI is, but inside our whole company. So it means that really we need to be working on the acculturation, because everybody needs to understand what are the limitations, what are the requirements, what it can really do, because AI is not magical. And the last point that is really important is I'm talking about AI products. So it means that we want products that goes to production that are really reliable and scalable. So it means that we need to massively invest in our data and machine learning platform. In conclusion, at Doctolib, we decided to implement a really bold AI strategy because we strongly believe that it can have a very positive impact on our users. But to do so, we think that what matters the most is actually changing and improving our organization by first developing a data governance strategy that is really strong, both in a defensive and offensive way. Second, we want to adopt a data mesh state of mind to foster data self-service. Third, we need to be even more user-centric than we were before in order to get feedback from users very fast and to get adoption from users. And the the fourth element, we need to invest massively in technology and in hiring. Thanks a lot for listening.
Great. Okay, let's move on and let's welcome Anaïs, Head of Data Platform at Malt.
Thank you. I got a first question for the audience before I start. Who in the room knows Malt? Can you raise your hand? Okay, cool. So I'm not going to do a very long introduction. So Malt, we are the leading freelancer marketplace in Europe that is really matching clients' need with freelancers. And today in our community, we are serving more than 70,000 clients across Europe and Middle East. And we have the largest community in Europe in terms of freelancer and pool, because we have 700,000 of freelancers cross expertise in the platform. So having said that, you can imagine we have a lot of data. And we are a tech company at Malt. So we do have a data team. We do a lot on data. But then so what when it comes to AI? If we think of AI, I see it in two parts. The first one is really AI in the product, which is the heart of our business. That is, for instance, the matching algorithm that is matching a client needs against freelancer skills, right? To make sure we select the right freelancer for the right project. And there is a new piece of AI that came up with our friends ChatGPT and all of that, that is serving what I'm calling AI for internal efficiency. So with Gen AI assistants, you ask a question, you get an answer, ChatGPT, Gemini, and so on. And if you go a bit further, you can imagine AI automation, so using AI and Gen AI in your workflow to ease the life of your employee. So on the left, this is something we've been doing for a while. So it's embedded in the product. We have machine learning engineers and so on. And on the right side, that's something pretty new. So the first question we ask ourselves is, okay, we know there is something to do on that field. A lot of people are using ChatGPT in the company, but what kind of use case we can do? Yeah. The first one we think about, actually it's me when I joined Malt a year ago. I wanted to have information about the marketplace and the product itself in terms of features and a lot of questions, and it's just a nightmare to find answers. Why? Because we have the knowledge in Notion, in a lot of pages, in Google Drive, and at the end of the day, you ask your dear colleague on Slack to answer your question. So definitely, that's definitely not scalable if you think of all the employees doing the same thing that I did when I joined. So here we knew, okay, in terms of documentation around the product, we think there is something we can do. So here is the starting point of our journey. And today I'm going to explain to you how we came from an idea, which is we can increase our internal efficiency focusing on product knowledge using Gen AI. So that's the idea in the statement. And how we move from an idea to something very concrete, a product we built in the tool used by 60% of the employee. And that is covering more than 10 use cases in production. That's the story in 5 chapters. And I'm going to explain to you all the chapter we had with learnings and what we did. First of all, we like to build stuff. We are a tech team. And we thought, okay, that seems simple. I'm not going to explain you a technical schema. When it comes to this kind of solution, question, answer, you have a knowledge base. You index in a vector database. You call a LLM. You take the question, and then you give an answer. That's a pretty typical architecture when it comes to what we call RAG. And to make it easy to use, we built a small Slack bot on Slack. Okay. Easy, we indexed the documentation, we took some of the pages, and it's something that our MLOps in the team built in just a few weeks. That seems pretty cool, right? Expectation, a horse that is going to win races. Reality is a bit different. Reality is, okay, we have a lot of hallucination. first of all. I mean, that's LLM. We, in the data team, so myself or the MLOps, we don't have the ability to say if it's correct or not when it comes to the answer, because we are not the people that knows our products the best in the company. And then when you think of scaling, building your own, if you want to add more information, you need to build connectors, you need to pull information, and if you want to build more use case, you really need to develop more and more on top of that. But there are good things about that experiment. Having a first prototype really helps people to project themselves with the final solution. And we got a lot of learning in terms of prompt, iteration, and index of content. So now we are with our horse that doesn't really look like a horse, but we know we are not there yet, but we really see that the potential is huge in solving the problem we had, which was finding information about our product knowledge. So chapter 2, we take a step back, and the first question we think is like, okay, who can help us in the company to achieve that? First question you ask is, who is suffering from this situation in the company? Okay, we think about that. And then we bring the people around the table. So you have the person in charge of the product knowledge that is spending so much time organizing Notion, but people still come to her to ask questions. That's really like something not easy to deal with every day. You have the person from the customer care. So here are the people that are handling the customer support, so answering tickets and so on. And her team spend a lot of time to find information. So they are really suffering a lot from this situation. So these two persons, they were like, okay, let's do something. We are full in and we're gonna help you. I mean, you need to bring tech people. So we keep our MLOps that build the first solution. We bring a data engineer in the room. And then we brought someone from design. We're like, okay, why do we bring someone from design? Just because this person was super interesting in the projects. And it's super important to keep the people enthusiastic very close to you when you start something. Okay, super happy. We want to work together. What do we do? Thinking of the reality I shared with you earlier, first of all, we didn't have the ability to detect inaccuracies. Now, apparently, we have the brains that really knows the answers and can help us with the testing. So it's first problem solved. Hallucination, we learned a lot on temperature, on prompt. Apparently, we gain knowledge on that, so we should be okay. And the first part is the scale, which is, I think, the most important one when you want to build a prototype. And at this point of time, we met Dust. Question for the audience, does everybody know Dust? Can you raise your hand? Okay, so I'm going to explain what the solution is. Basically, it's a SaaS, so they provide a website where you can just connect in 2 clicks your knowledge base. So they have Notion connectors, super cool for us. And you can build your assistant through a prompt. So you write your prompts, you iterate, you choose the temperature, and then your assistant is live. Apparently, good solution for us if you want to go fast, because the people from the business, they can do it together and really being on board on the tool. Okay, chapter 3, now we need to build something. To give you a timeline, we did the first MVP in 1 month. And what did we do? We worked with the knowledgeable team to really choose and pick up the content that is accurate, because we got a lot of documentation outdated. So they were really in charge of selecting the pages that really had the right information. We iterated very fast on prompts because we did a testing protocol. So basically, you ask the people to write the questions, test the assistant, and then tell us if the answers are correct. If they're not correct, 2 options. We iterate on the prompt, and we work with them. Second one, which is 90% of the case, is the knowledge base that has problems because there are ambiguity, you have duplicates, and this was really a way for us for them to iterate and make the documentation better. 1 month later, we say, okay, we're really happy about the solution, but you need to test it with users because that's the best way to collect feedback at scale. So we picked two frontline teams. So basically, it's salespeople on the field that work with clients and need to get answers very fast. So we chose two teams. We opened the assistant to them, and we told them the rules. So it's a beta version. So you may expect issues. And then we asked them to give us feedback. Basically, on Slack, you put a green emoji if it's a good answer, a red one if it's a bad answer, and orange if it's OK. And then we had the knowledgeable people reviewing the answers, and same feedback loop. We iterated on the knowledge base and the prompt. What was interesting at that point, we opened to 20 people. We ended up having 60 people in the Slack channel. So they were like really people coming. We didn't know from where, but they were really like seeing value in what we were testing. And on the second part, you remember the guy from the design team? He wanted to try and build his own assistants. And there were like about 10 people like him in the company across department. So we created at the same time a builder community where they could really test use cases with their team, where we share tips and tricks. So these are the two things that happen. And if you compare to the horse that was not really feeling well at the beginning of the presentation, now it looked more like a real horse ready to go to race. Okay, now we're like, okay, confident about the assistant we built, the other use case that came up, we're ready to take off, but how do we do that? So we are a data platform team. So we like to send spaceship to the moon and not keeping them on Earth. For us, it means a few things. We need to provide a robust and scalable solution. First thing. We want the tool, the product we built, to provide assistance across the company to support multiple technologies. So Dust in that case, but we are using a lot Vertex AI on Google Cloud. And we don't want to lock ourselves with one technology. So that's really important for us to build something across technologies. As I mentioned, feedback loop is super important to monitor the accuracy over time. So we wanted to have something where people could still vote for the answers and having an automated feedback collection to make sure we will be able to compute accuracy score every day and monitor that. And something scalable means something that you can use on Slack, but also use on your own workflow. So a tool that really can interact with other interfaces. Okay, so now it's the next chapter is coming. So it's building a data product at scale. So having said that, we put the requirements, expectation, and we really design the solution. Robust, apparently if you have the right people in the room, that should be okay. So in our case, it's a MLOps and a data engineer. Multi-support. So in that tool, we developed the product. We supported Dust, but also we developed an integration with Vertex AI to be able to use Gemini, for instance. Feedback loop on Slack, easy. Our product is asking the user, when he asks a question, to rate the answer. So if you ask a question and you don't rate the answer, our bot is going to come to you 10 minutes later and ask you to do that, and he's going to come back until you do it. So you make sure you keep the feedback loop. Monitoring, we like to do application at scale. And in that case, we used a tool that is called LengthFuse. So it's an open source tool that you can deploy to monitor LLM. And basically, in our case, it allows us to monitor the number of calls to the products, but also to measure the accuracy over time, because we are able to pass them the score and the feedback from users, and we have a curve to monitor accuracy over time. So it looks like we are good to go. That seems to be a nice product. But now, we're not a marketing team. But we understand the importance of, when you build a data product, to bring a bit of marketing around that. Why? Because it gives a purpose. It makes things very clear in the organization, because not everybody is like tech in the company. So what we did, our dear marketing team helped us doing this logo. That is the logo of Malt, a bit tweaked, looks like a magician. His name is Malt AI. So you can see that we are using the Malt in that and AI in case people don't understand that it uses AI. We did a video. I'm not from the marketing, I did that, so it's not the best video in the world. But basically, we interviewed users and we built this video with a bit of storytelling with people explaining us how they are using the tool every day, covering different use cases. We really built upon success story. So from our early adopters, from different teams, really important to make sure you cover different teams because it brings a lot of sense to people. So we had someone from design, someone from sales, and someone from customer care. I didn't pay them to say that, so just let you know. And we even did a song. And that's the fun part. I'm not gonna. That stays in the head. It's generated with AI, of course. So it looks like a pop music. It's super funny, but it stays in your head. But that was for the fun part as well. And then we did a global rollout. So communication at scale, talking at the all ends, sending messages on Slack and so on. Because we were ready with a technical product we were quite proud of, plus a lot of use case in production with the marketing around that. So chapter 5 is like today. I want to share with you a few numbers. So today we have more than 10 use cases in production covering really different topics. So product knowledge, as I share with you. We also have data topics, user research topic, and also like automated tool to do product feedback, for instance. Our builder community is more than 25 people, really across different departments. We have more than 60% of employees that are using that. And our latest success story is we implemented the tool in our customer care workflow. So when we receive a ticket on the support, we draft an answer, and then the agent can review the answer before replying to the full answer of the customer. And doing that, we improve by 50% the efficiency of the team. To make it a bit concrete, I share with you a few examples. So it looks like that on Slack. So here is for the product knowledge. You ask a question, and then our dear Multi AI is answering you. And you don't see, but it provides the link that redirects to Notion for you to make sure that if you want to go further, you click and you go on the Notion page. Another interesting use case is you can also use Assistant for creativity. In that case, it's our design team that gave the guidelines and the tone of voice to the assistants. And then when you're building a feature on the product and you need a bit help to think of, what's the label, the sentence you're going to put on your product, it can provide you a few proposals and you can iterate with it. So that really opens a perspective for the team and help them to be more creative. And the last one, it has been done by the analytics engineering team. This one is helping you navigate through the data warehouse. So we have a similar architecture than Doctolib, but it can be quite difficult to find the right field you are looking for in the data warehouse. So we also have an assistant to help you understand where you can find the information. Now the key learning, if anyone in the room wants to do the same. The first one is you need to start small. We started with the product knowledge use case, which is really big. So if we had to do it again, maybe we should have started with something smaller because it takes less time to iterate. You need to embark the relevant people, especially when it comes to Gen AI for efficiency, because they are the people that know the knowledge base, and they are also the people that are fixing the issue in the knowledge base. If you don't have good documentation, don't try Gen AI, it's not going to work. So it's really important to have that in mind. Engage early adopters. They're going to be the one coming to you and say, hey, I want to give you feedback and share my success story. So it's super important. Iterate fast. Try different LLM. To share something, so we are using GPT-O for some use case and Claude for some other use case. Claude performs much better when it comes to customer care. It looks a bit more human, but for all the other use cases, GPT is working very well. But try and test different ones. Build it as a product. I mean, I think it's super important to give the vision to all the company. Keep measuring. A lot of companies are releasing one Gen AI assistant, and then they're like, okay, it does the job. But actually, accuracy is something you measure over time. because your knowledge base is evolving. So you can have ambiguity at some point. So it's super important to measure accuracy over time and have it integrated in your processes. So the product knowledge team in charge of the product knowledge, they are the one monitoring the accuracy, and they're the one taking action based on the bad accuracy. And last but not least, I think it's scaling through empowerment, not an army of engineers. Sometimes you don't need a lot of engineers to build something. You need to really put the right people together. You build fast, you do something that scale. And then when you have, for this kind of solution, people in the business that are autonomous on building assistant, writing prompts, this is super powerful because it scales without us having to onboard more and more engineers. So that will be the last takeaway, but still super important to onboard engineer on that. If you put the product on the business side first, you're going to come up at some point and need engineers. But you don't need an army when you want to build something. And I think that's all for me. I don't have a Q&A slide, so we may stay on this one. Thank you.
Thank you. It's time for our last talk of the night. Welcome, Gail from Decathlon.
Thank you, Anaïs. That was amazing. Hi, everyone. I'm Gail. I'm working in Decathlon, and actually, I have no slide of introduction to Decathlon. So I hope that everyone knows. But in the course of the presentation, you are going to see our products. So I'm working in the core data product team. So I'm part of the data platform, and I'm doing a data as a product approach. So this is what I'm going to present you today. Sorry. So first and foremost, before we start, I want to thank the Doctolib, but also Charlotte and Paris Data Ladies, all the people put that together. I'm really very thankful for your attention and to be able to share this journey with all of you. And I also like that we are a lot of women here. And so that's really great. When I saw the topic on AI, so I'm working more on the platform side. And so this is kind of the way I understood this problematic, which is, for me, organizing data is really about organizing knowledge first. And then when I think about data teams, I really think about the teams that are data producers and data consumers within the organization. This means that I'm going to speak about data teams in a very broad way. You are going to see it in the presentation. And then when I think about AI success, as I am working from the data platform side, I really think about value and usability. And this is what I focus with my customer, who are AI teams, basically. But I'm not the one doing AI, my customers are. So to present a bit more what I do, I joined Decathlon 1.5 years ago, both as a group product manager. So I have a team of 3 data product managers that are amazing, probably seeing the live right now. And then I have also the role of staff. So my role is to try to empower and scale the data as a product approach within the company. So as core data team, we manage all the data patrimony that is within the data lake. In Decathlon, this data lake is quite important because it serves all the transversal, operational, and analytic use cases that are within the company. So we speak about economic performance. We speak also about a topic that is quite important, which is the CO2 impact of the company, which is something that we really want to measure on the product level. So this is also what you are going to see right now. So my customers, you will see it's actually everyone in the company because we carry a lot of operational usages. So my first customer is Barbara. So whenever someone comes with a Barbara, ask for that. This is what we prioritize. So she's using our assets to be able to measure the performance of the company. Then you have the amazing sports and product teams from the operational perspective, especially the team of Thomas, who is composed of product manager from digital application. Then my consumers are also other core data product team. For example, Martin, who is in charge of the CO2 impact measurements. On the other hand, we have AI teams. So we have AI and ethics teams, and we also have analytics engineers and data analysts that consume our data. So that's really the global picture of everything we deliver within Decathlon. So now that the context is understood, let's say, I hope at least, I'm going to speak more about what we did on my data domain, which is the product data domain. So when I speak about product now, is going to mean more the article of Decathlon. So really the model, like the shoe, the kayak, all of it. So when we wanted to have a discussion around that, we tried to focus with my boss, who helped me put up this presentation, on really what was the message, the key message that we wanted to give to you today. And one of the key messages that we wanted to show is that as when you do a core workout, doing a core workout is not sexy, right? But still, if you want to perform, this is what you need to do to be able to perform and do amazing things. So this is really, in most companies, what we see is that this core vision of the company is actually weak. And so everything that you can put around it doesn't really perform until the last end. So it doesn't go the last bit. It's not reaching operational excellence. When we chose this topic, we also used the word strengthen. That was really to say that everyone is trying to do it at its best. So here, this is how we, from 1.5 years ago, we really strengthened it. And it's really funny because at the beginning, when we chose that word, especially, I was not sure with the stress I would be able to say it properly. So I hope you all understood that. So first, why? So when I arrived in the company, we did quite a lot of studies. You know, as data product manager, we like to gather customer feedback. And we found out that 30% of the data consumers that were responding to the interview had an issue to find their data they needed daily, which is quite an important struggle. And 80% of them were finding data by contacting a person, a data steward or a data product manager. So really the data consumers, and I think about all consumers, including the product management team that are from digital applications, not only data teams, had issues accessing business knowledge, knowing across the organization who does what on the processes, accessing relevant data, and making sure that both of them align. So one example I can take is a product weight. If I am from the customer experience, I want to see a product weight as what is the customer bringing home. So for example, what he's bringing in his car and shifting to his place, right? This is what I want to see from a marketing perspective. But when you go to conception teams are going to say, no, product weight is the sum of the weight of all the components, which is also true, but still needs to really be clarified with the teams. Otherwise, when you go to the website, you are going to see a weight that does nothing to do with what you really bring in your website, right? In your house. So this is really the struggle that we try to focus with my team. So if I summarize the problematic that we're trying to solve with the core vision that we are creating, so the transversal knowledge within the company, the problematic is really, as a data consumer, I want to understand my company by looking at the data. So it really means that the data that I'm putting in the platform, especially the silver and the gold section that was mentioned before by Doctolib, is really helping the customer understanding the company processes, the company concepts, how they define and how they are described within the organization. The data can also explain and must be explained from specific business complexities. So, for example, if I'm not able to understand why this specific product doesn't have specific attributes, then as a data analyst, for me, it's a nightmare, whereas it must have a very nice operational explanation that makes everything easy to understand, right? So what we are trying to do here is really thinking the platform as a gateway for the customer to understand all the company core vision and transversal knowledge, basically. So how did we do that? So first of all, what I want to emphasize here is that, on the contrary to what I sometimes hear, the heart of the data-driven transformation of a company is not the data teams, but it's really the sources, the digital applications. So embarking your source is really the most important thing and the biggest step you're going to take into a data-driven transformation, because the sources are both the business knowers, they are also data producers. Sometimes they consume the data. Most of the time, they operationally consume the data from APIs, from other sources, and they are the one that can action data quality. And this is really important. So the core vision that you are going to construct and the data-driven transformation that you're going to build must both be conceived with them and must serve them. And this is what we have done in the product domain when I arrived, is going directly to the sources and discussing with them what are their data struggles, how can we help them, how can we really be servant leaders to their own strategies. Then you are going to see a bit in Decathlon everything that goes into a product. So a product in Decathlon can be very complex, and I chose a specific complex product such as a kayak. From different perspectives, I can really struggle to see what is the big picture of a kayak, because you can go very deeply into the understanding of what is the product. So if you go to the product information part, the one that is from the website, a product is a kayak for 3 persons in blue color, right? And this is something that at least brings some value. So when we gathered all the experts, so we are 1,100 people in Decathlon, we started with a small team that could build our first MVP of a taxonomy. So this might seem really not like quite small. I know that a kayak is blue and can bring 3 persons, but that's already something that we can start on. And then based on that value that we brought, we put in the picture more people, for example, industry domains, that can give more information about the different components that can be sold as spare parts, so that are also products. And then we can go deeper into how the component is built and how the component is made. So for example, the kilometers of textile that you need to bring each one of them. So here, I really want to say that as a data product manager, you are going to think your governance as first, who can I onboard in my expert community first? And what is the first easiest product that can bring value? And from now on, when you have already something and when customers start consuming the data, you will bring more experts and maybe you will change the taxonomy that you built initially. And also this taxonomy is going to evolve with the data strategy of your source. So this is quite important. So there is not such a thing as something built and ready-made and completely stopped, let's say. Your taxonomy is going to live as with your company, and is going to live with the more experts you bring. So when you have the expert community, you have defined what is the first taxonomy you want to start. Then we started to scale the role of a data product manager. And so this has a lot of text. This is really what we brought to the data product manager. So saying, when you deliver a data product, what are really the responsibilities that are behind? And you can see here that delivering a table is only one of them. So this is something that we really use to scale. And then the other thing that was quite important for us is to tell them that their responsibility is not only to build tables or not only to build data products, but really to maintain and curate the legacy from which they start. So if I have nothing on the product and I have a first table, still I know that somewhere in the operational reality, I have some tables, and those tables, they must be curated at some point. I must migrate the usages from the old legacy to the new tables, and I must take into account the requirements that are not yet met by this new build, basically. One other thing that we try to implement in Decathlon is that all data product managers are really knowledgeable on their functional domain. So for example, in my team, the most senior product manager, Laurence, she has been a steward on the product for quite a while, and she knows the functional domain by heart. She is now able really to go deep into operational reality and operational complexities. And sometimes it means bad data quality, but we are not trying to hide it, right? We are trying to make it understood by the teams. So if my data quality is wrong, it's because the operational gesture is wrong, and then we need to do something with the source. So this is really what we tried to implement. Then, as a group product manager, so my role, what I need to make sure is that when we create the transversal knowledge, we start with a process that is written with the business, which is really important. So most of the time in Decathlon, the processes are not written. I think it's the case in most companies. So I really make sure that it's the business who writes it with us. I don't do it for them. I really try to onboard them and make them understand the importance of doing so. So usually how it works, well, they ask to consume their own data, and I tell them, what is your model? What are your concepts? They tell me, what are you talking about? I just want to send you a table. So we start from there. And then with that, I really try to onboard them. So to understand that really the data needs to describe concept. So the concept needs to be clear and clear on the organizational level. So for example, if they tell me that the weight is this, but another domain has another opinion, I must make sure as a group product manager that they both discuss and that we have an alignment at the end of the day. Then I make sure that the modelization is right. So this is something that we do daily. And then I make sure that the architecture is the right one as well. So the data team that is going to have the data products maintained is the one that is the best in relationship with the source and in relationship with the consumers. So this is really my role. And then we discussed a lot about feedback loop. Everyone mentioned that. And this is something that was quite new from Decathlon perspective, is the fact that your data product manager are going to take feedbacks, but those feedbacks really are not always about the data. They can be about the processes. For example, it took 3 months to receive my data. It's about the tools as well. I don't understand the data catalog. It's too complex, these kind of things. So your data product management team in the organization needs to have the legitimacy to be able to report those issues. And in a low maturity organization, this can be very hard to implement. And then you have data product managers that have issues on the processes and can do nothing about it. And this is quite a struggle that I have seen in the past. It's really organization that try to construct that role. Those people built a lot of things that are great, but at the end of the day, the processes don't serve this vision that is transversal. So this is something really important for us, is internal customers will have feedback. And as external customer, we need to take them into account and become better. And we need really to be thinking about that as a very user-centric role in the company. So then, once we have done all of that, so it took around 6 or 7 months, we started working really deeply with the consumers. understanding from their perspective all the use case we can unlock and all the one that couldn't be unlocked yet. So if I go a bit on the use cases that have been built so far with our data, you will see that there are a lot around product quality. So which means, for example, the non-quality cost of the company, this kind of things, but also the reviews of the customers. So your reviews are anonymized, of course, and then they are directly sent to the conception teams so they can really build on the next version of the product with all your inputs. This also means being able to, for example, if I have a YouTuber that is specialized into testing sports product, then I should be able to take into account his feedback on all the models of Decathlon. Then, with regards to product information, one thing that is quite important is deduplication, for example, being able to be sure that a new model doesn't cannibalize another one. This is one of the AI purposes that we try to serve. In Decathlon, we have a lot of products, also old products, that have been in the market since a very long time. So this is actually something that is quite a focus for the product information team. Then we have, of course, product CO2 impact. So the model that will enable us to understand our CO2 impact. This is something very important also for the conception teams, because they are going to use the materials that have the less CO2 impact. So this is really from conception to selection of products. So it's at the heart of what our team like to do from production perspective. It's really being the best, trying to bring people healthier, but doing it in a really as renewable as possible way. Then you have pure AI use cases, such as a product ontology that will enable, with sports activity information from the members, to improve the website research in Decathlon and on Decathlon's product. So for example, if you search a sport today, you are not going to be able to see the list of products that relates to the sports. What they want to do tomorrow is really improving this website research, so you can have kind of someone explaining to you everything you need about a sport. So I don't know if you have seen, but in Decathlon's website, you already see a lot of information about a sport. So you can see like documentation explaining how to do core workout, for example. So all of that will be used to improve the product experience from the digital perspective. And then, of course, performance, making sure that our team perform. But this is more about algorithms than really AI. So today, my consumers are the one consuming my data. Tomorrow, they are my stewards, actually. Especially shout out to Martin, Product CO2 Impact, who really knows everything in each and every model, and who has helped us testing our tables extensively. So they are really the one on which we rely every day to make sure that all the granularity of what we do are correct, basically. So what I want you to bring from this presentation is really an inspiration, I hope, to be more user-centric, to really think about the data as an internal value that needs to be brought to teammates, which is really important for me, because the other teammates of the company are my customers, basically. And then also being really reminded that if you don't do this core, and if you don't enable as a user this core, and you don't give the right feedback to the core team and the data platform team, you are never going to be able to go the last mile, the one that is changing everything from your user perspective.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I think we are all wishing for drinks and food. That's what we are going to do. Thank you for your colleagues who weren't there. There will be a replay available on our YouTube channel. Yes, and next meetup will be on October 22nd at Miracle. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, so we'll see. Thanks again to Doctolib. Thank you for hosting us. Enjoy the cocktail.
Okay.